a bit weird sitting here because it's so familiar, but we haven't done it for about 2 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time. So we're back. Hi. It's been 2 years for us. It's been, depending on which video you've watched recently, maybe only 30 seconds. But yeah, we're back, and it's kind of hard to tell how back we are, but we're back.
We've been on this mooring for almost 2 years, and we like it here very much.
It's become very comfortable, especially when today, the first sort of day of the year in which it's warm enough to wear shorts, and hence why there's a guy walking over half naked on the other side there. That's not always the best part of living here. The pedestrians wearing too little, but fundamentally, you know, we've been in a farm in an area that is quite rural. We have lots of ducks and swans. We've got a pair of swans we've been feeding continuously all winter, and we've got
Geralds.
we call them both Gerald because I can't tell the difference between them, and frankly don't have the patience.
We've got some crows that we call bobs.
I think those are ravens.
No, I think they're crows.
Are they the big crows?
Yeah.
And yeah, those are called bob because of the way they walk. They bob about.
We've got ducks that we feed.
More
We've got
hens.
an otter.
Yeah, we've met the otter several times in the middle of the night. There's a gurgling sound, and we think we're sinking or grounding out because somebody screwed up the lock. But no, in fact, it's an otter who almost always looks very disturbed to have found us looking down at him. But you know, then he disappears rapidly. And there's bunny rabbits,
and there's a kingfisher, and it's just lovely. And we've got the luxuries of having a GP, like 10-minute walk away. We get post, so
not the most useful GP.
No, we've got we don't have water or electric hookup, but it's just we've got a bit comfortable on this mooring.
Yeah, because we just happen to be in a position where we can point our panels that way, and we get really good solar, especially after I updated the firmware for the our solar MPPT controller, because the previous firmware wasn't doing a very good job of it. But yeah, it's a good location. It's worked out well for us. There is some complexity with the licensing because we're on the River Cam.
So it doesn't fall under the gold license.
But we've kind of gotten to the place where it's time for us to move on again.
But before we move on, we are going to Crick.
Yeah.
In a couple of weeks. We've just been to the cavalcade in London, the Canal Way cavalcade.
Yeah.
For 3 days, and that was good. Met some really lovely people. Sold some maps and some earrings and some jigsaws.
Saw some viewers again, and it was a bit of a reminder of how pleasant it can be to see people we know.
Yeah, and where our store was, we were overlooking the pool, so it was just nice.
Yeah, and I stood up at one point and kind of clung on to the iron fence that goes around the actual waterfront and was watching the boat handling exhibition.
Wishing that Perseverance was
I was quite jealous. I was like, I miss this. Yeah. So yeah.
So we're doing Crick next month. This month. This month.
3 weeks? 4 weeks?
3 weeks.
Yeah.
We're actually in the food and craft marquee this year because our space in the boating marquee was double booked. So that was an all, drama.
A little bit, but we eventually, we don't know exactly where we are in the food and craft marquee, but we'll be in the food and craft marquee.
We've got a few new products, so if you are going to Crick, please come and say hello because it would be really nice to.
Do note that we do not have any food and very little crafts.
Well, there will be some.
There will be some crafts,
but it'll mainly be maps.
Mainly maps and puzzles, and so yeah, we're looking forward to that.
We're not taking Perseverance. Well, there's a very good reason why we couldn't take Perseverance.
Salter's load.
That kind of links into our plans and why we're making this video, because we are leaving this very nice mooring. Yeah. But we're not sure
exactly when
or how.
Yeah.
Because
we sort of have to leave by the end of June and go below Bottisham Lock, which is 150 feet in that direction. That lock works just fine, and we can go on to the Greater Ooze system from the Cam, and we can potter about on there for as long as we want, pretty much. But we are currently unable to get to the middle levels.
I'd love to revisit all of that, but all the moorings are 48 hours, so it's not really ideal for the kind of way we want to travel.
No, and one way or another, it doesn't really matter, because right now, Denver Lock and Salters Load and the tidal stretch between them is closed to navigation because of silt. We've had like basically a record amount of waterfall in the last winter, and so we've had levels being quite high at various points. We never did flood out or anything, but down there it did. And so they've had quite a bit of silt, and there's also some sort of political something or other happening
Between the EA and the middle level.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, it's a bit confusing. But
we had thought that we could go along the New Bedford and then out via King's Lynn, but apparently
it's just sort of unpassable
there's too
right
much
now.
silt even to do that, because that avoids the locks, apart from Bottisham Lock. But yeah.
Well, and Erith Lock, we'd have to go through Erith. But yeah.
No. Oh yeah.
To get onto the New Bedford.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically, essentially, for an undeterminable and unknown amount of time, we are stuck over here in the west of England.
Which is lovely, but we're kind of itching to go now.
Yeah.
And we kind of wanted a purpose, because obviously if you've watched our videos for a while, you'll know that our purpose cruising before was to go everywhere.
And we sort of did that.
But there was a few tiny places that we didn't make through no fault of our own.
Yeah, so like we couldn't get onto the River Welland or the Glen because the lock at Spalding was completely out of commission at the time.
And it may still be, but we're going to try and do that.
Yeah, now that would require a wash crossing.
Which is kind of on our to-do list anyway, and we'd like to go out of Wisbeach this time.
Yeah.
To tick, because we've been as far as Sutton. No, we didn't go as far as Sutton Bridge. We went as far as Wisbeach, but we haven't done between Wisbeach and the Wash. So if we went out that way, we could then do the Welland and the Glen a little bit, and then go back into Boston, which would set us on our route up to the River Foss, which is
way up in Yorkshire.
And it's kind of crazy that we're thinking of going there, because there's only about a mile of waterway that we didn't do when we were there, because again, I don't think the lock was out, but the little stretch of river between the main ooze in Yorkshire and the lock.
Well, yeah, there was sort of a footbridge that was being rebuilt, and I think it's a footbridge and stop lock, and something was going on there, so we couldn't make it to the lock, and we couldn't make it the rest of the way on. And it's not even close to a mile. It's
tiny.
Like, I think there's a grand total of maybe 2 to 2.5 miles that we've never visited, all told. And
we walked it, but so that's kind of on our wish list. And then the next one would probably be the newly open section of the Montgomery Canal, which we couldn't visit because it wasn't open when we were there 2 or 3 or 4 years ago. I can't remember. Maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah. And then the last portion is the very end of the Basingstoke Canal,
which is as far away as we could possibly get from.
You couldn't get further away. And we've done the renovation since, which means we've changed the height of the boat, and we've got the solar panels, which weren't there at the time.
Yeah, so we could barely get under the bridge before, so the solar panels would probably have to come off to go and do the little bit of
beyond Fleet.
Well, no, yeah.
It was Fleet. It was the bridge at Fleet that we got past, and then we couldn't go the rest of the way because to I think it's called Odisham.
No,
or
it's called Odium.
Odium, something like that.
Yeah.
We couldn't get there because of a landslip, so we were able to make it up to where the navigation had been shut because the landslip was a little further along.
And that was the second navigation we ever went on, so I think it would be quite fun to revisit that.
And make it the last navigation.
And it's also a silver propeller, and we did that before silver propeller was even a thing. And also the Foss, I think, is a silver propeller, and so is the Welland and the Glen. So we'd get, if we managed to do this, 3 more silver propeller locations, which would be brilliant. But we're not saying that we're going to cruise until we tick all these off. That's like our kind of loose motivation for our cruising pattern.
Yeah, and we're not really sure what we'll do with videos, because what we were doing of sort of a cruise per, like a video per cruise won't make sense. But maybe a video per week or something like that.
Yeah, and
or per section.
I'd like to mix them up because we had a formula that really, really worked for us, and it was easy to do. But if we do, well, I do want to do videos. When we do videos again, I'd like to be able to be a bit more creative.
Well, then I'd like to do some more like the cooking on a narrowboat videos.
Well, more lifestyle rather than just the cruising, maybe, is what we're thinking.
So like a little more in depth and a little less
so yeah, a little
cruising.
More, a little more inside the boat and outside the boat when we stop.
And less travelogue.
Yeah.
Sort of, running commentary along the way.
Yeah.
But we'll figure that out.
Apart from the new bits, we'll do that on the new bits. But on the bits that we've already visited, or if there's anything interesting that's changed, we might add that. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
We're not sure.
And George will be there with us. George is doing well. He is, he's getting older, so he's getting a little bit creakier and a little bit crankier.
He turned 13 last month.
Mm-hmm. But he's still running around after balls all the time. He's had no significant health concerns or anything other than the occasional, man, did I eat something I shouldn't have eaten? And we do have to lift him up into the bed now, although that's more of a product of having put in hardwood floors, and he just sort of stands there going, ah! And yeah. So he's healthy and he's happy. He won't be joining us at Crick, unfortunately. The hotel we're at didn't have an obvious dogs option, and
also it's just he'll be happier staying with my parents because they spoil him and they've got a nice garden, and it'll just be more fun to him rather than be sat under a table for 3 days.
They were watching him during the 3 days we were at Cavalcade, and when we came to move back up to the boat, he was like, I'm anchoring, I'm going nowhere, I really like these stairs. And
the bacon he gets for breakfast.
Constant flow of bacon. Yeah, he's definitely, he'll be happier there. So if you're coming to Crick, please come by and see us in the Food and Craft Marquee.
Especially if you've got dogs with you.
Yes, I want to meet all your dogs.
That's the main reason Michael does these events, is so that he can meet dogs.
I am fundamentally a dog. So, please bring your pooches. Cats acceptable. Lizards, fine. Frankly, if it moves and it's not human, I'm probably pretty good with it. I'm probably pretty okay with the humans too, but I just prefer my feathered, flippered, scaled, and furry friends. It'll be good to see people there. That sort of brings us to the
more tricky thing to
talk about. The reason why, the answer to the question that we got asked a bunch at Cavalcade, I got asked a bunch at Cavalcade, and that I've been asked a bunch on the video, which is what happened with the master's degree and how are my studies going? And the frank and simple answer is they're not, and they didn't. Unfortunately, I've talked a little bit about it in the mental health video and a little bit about it sort of tangentially in the thing about Seneca Cow that I did a while back, the sort of little essay. Before we moved to Cambridge, sort of on the way to Cambridge at Peterborough, I was assaulted as part of trying to stop somebody else getting assaulted. That resulted in a concussion, and that brought back a bunch of other things. And I'm going to make another video about the other things because
there's a lot to talk about.
It's a lot to talk about, but it's important to talk about it. I've spent like 2 years trying to figure out how to talk about it. It involves the weight loss that I went through,
which is the other thing Michael still gets asked about.
Yeah, that I've been asked about a lot, and because I've been asked a lot about the weight loss, and I've been trying to formulate an answer for that, and then I've been asked a lot about the school, and I've been trying to formulate an answer for that. I've spent a bunch of time literally walking between here and Cambridge thinking, trying to come up with the way of describing this, and it really is a long form problem. The short form answer is these issues led to me having to my coursework was effectively impossible to continue in the first semester that I was in, the first term that I started. That led to me going through a process called intermission. Intermission at Cambridge University is a Byzantine process. One might even say possibly Acadian. It is not well-designed way of dealing with people with health issues, and it didn't help. And unfortunately, there's a sort of time frame in which you're able to do that before you have to withdraw, and I was not able to heal
within the time.
Yeah, given the way that the NHS is currently working and the way that, you know, if it's not immediate, critical, life-threatening, you can go onto waiting lists, and those waiting lists can end up in multiple waiting lists, and
We're still on the waiting list.
Still on a waiting list, and a lot of it comes down to sort of a postcode lottery of what postcode you're in, and we are in a rural postcode outside of the major city of Cambridge, and so access is a little bit complicated, and so it has led to a kind of process that was drawn out very far. There were lots of meetings that had to involve lots of people from lots of sections of a literally medieval designed university system, which led to lots of delays, which eventually resulted in me being pushed into a situation or pulled into a situation or finding myself in a situation where I had to withdraw. And
it's been really hard, and
it's been really hard, and it's been really kind of embarrassing for me, especially because I was very proud to be accepted to Cambridge, and I was very happy to be going to Cambridge, and very excited to be going to Cambridge. And the ideas that I had in mind for a PhD were sort of dependent on me being able to figure my way through this master's degree and learn some stuff about what's called human-computer interaction. And the program that I was in wasn't really designed to fit me, and has changed in its content a little bit, such that going back is now kind of not workable.
yeah.
So it won't be workable.
So yeah, really hard, really hard couple of years.
Yeah. Hence why there will be a longer form video, and the longer form video will not be for our
Boating viewers.
usual boating viewers or for our usual kind of consumption. It will be, I think it's important to do for me because I needed to see it, and it wasn't available to see.
So hopefully the people that need to see it will be the ones that get to watch it.
Yeah.
And obviously everyone is welcome to watch it, but if you're looking for a narrowboat vlog, then it won't be the video.
Right. And I'll have a little bit of description at the beginning of it, like I'll sort of introduce and start down the pathway and kind of tell you what the content is going to include. And if you decide that it's not for you, please
Wait for the next one.
wait for the next one. But I'm hoping that it's I'm hoping that it comes out the way that I've tried to record it several times, and it is going to be a very long video in kind of a podcast format. I'm hoping that it gets shared. I'm hoping that it gets seen by people outside this community that would benefit from it. It's going to have a very clickbaity title for a reason, because it is starting, and kind of initiated by a massive weight loss, and so that will be there. And it will be, I'm kind of uncomfortable with this part, but like we're going to have to leave it as monetized, because if it isn't monetized on YouTube, then it won't get promoted anywhere.
Yeah, YouTube won't put it in front of people.
Yeah, they won't put it in front of anybody, and I really do feel like this thing needs to reach people that have similar issues, especially similar weight issues, and the reasons why those weight issues existed. But yeah, it'll have to be monetized, but I'm very uncomfortable with that. So I'm trying to figure out whether or not there's a way that I could sort of take any earnings from that video and assign it as a donation or something. And it'll also mean that there's some content that I can't talk about right in the beginning, because it would end up being demonetized.
Yeah. And then again, it wouldn't get in front of people.
Yeah. So complicated, not simple. This is the simple one.
No, it doesn't.
No, it's still recording. So this is that's going to be the complicated one. This is the simple one. This is not as short as I was hoping it would be, but it's still pretty short. We are back. We will be cruising.
We will be back.
We will be back. We will actually be back. We will actually be cruising. At some time in the next 2 months, we will be moving off this mooring. As far as how soon we actually start cruising towards new stuff, that's determined by the EA and the people in the middle levels figuring out the silt situation. And so how soon we actually get moving towards any destination is anybody's guess.
And it's so weird because I'm so excited to get moving, but like we're both very kind of not scared, but like we've got comfortable. We've got our rituals, we've got our routines, we've got.
Well, and George does too.
We've got our local shops. Yeah, George has got the vet. We've got a little community here.
Yeah, there's a Chinese shop in Cambridge where like
Chinese supermarket.
Yeah, a little Chinese supermarket where they don't just talk to me. They introduce me to their grandson and tried to get him to teach programming. And there's a place where I found where, though I've gone my entire life without having coffee, I've had 64 in the last year, all from one place because the coffee's that good.
And I've taken a job and I've really enjoyed the routine of like going to Cambridge for that and having colleagues, and
yeah,
we're going to be giving all of that up, and
including a discount card.
And while we've given it all up before, both of us have, and we know it's the right thing to do, it's still hard, isn't it? Yeah,
because it's definitely, oh, there goes Gerald, he's taking off. Yeah, it's definitely a oh, and there was 2 of them. We know where the second one is now. We've been wondering where that bird has been. It's definitely scary to, even though we've started this adventure before and we know how it's going to work, and we know that all of the stuff at which we became old hands will be a little uncomfortable and a little bit weird to begin with, but then we'll get back to, oh yeah, this is how you do everything. As happens every time we go cruising, we go, oh yeah, this is how you go into a lock, and this is how you...
And it's not just narrowboating, like we've both gone on worldwide trips, we've both moved to different countries for work.
We've done...
multiple times.
Yeah, we've done uncomfortable, weird moves, and they're always scary ahead of time, and they're always worthwhile after the fact.
And this next move might be a stepping stone to the one after that. Like,
it definitely is. Yeah, because there is a. I mean, the one thing that I can say with certainty is 2 years of really hard life lessons for me, and you being stuck, having to support me through a very complicated recovery.
Which is
we'd already gotten the lesson during COVID and the lockdown that somehow the 2 of us can survive and thrive and be better with each other through adversity. And then for some reason the universe decided to throw even more adversity, and we've just gotten better at it. So like, I love this woman so much and just cannot believe I got this lucky, and also a dog, and yeah, we've gotten better through this, and we will get better still, and my recovery will eventually turn into something where
we'll end up where we're supposed to be.
Yeah, I'm going to make it back past 100% of where I was. And there is an undiscovered country in front that I haven't reached yet, and that we don't know where it is, but we'll get there. And okay, there's like 2 miles of undiscovered country at the end of canals that we've got to knock away first, but then there's more after that. So, keep watching this space, and keep watching space too. There's interesting stuff going on up there. And yeah. Is that it? I think that's it. So thanks for watching. Give us a thumbs up, comment down below, subscribe if you haven't already, if that's still a thing, and come to Crick and bring your dog.
Wow, that's the best you've done that in 2 years.
I know. It's the first time I've done it in 2 years.